QRMF 5522, Saquarema City, Brazil. Today is day 7 December 2021. It suggests to consider the continuity of this international procedure under local intervention, considering corruption and coalition scams with corporate peer, not necessarily as the local conjuncture as Brazil. We can lead the observations very clear to pandemic events point to transnational organized crime. You had the model and we offered a suggestion to research this in loco, considering the information from institution, but they are in general unable to offer this if this goes by orders and decisions from the top-down corruption scam. We had the model on Saturday. It's the tax crime as prevention, and a design for analysis. On Sunday, we had the observation that this procedure has budget control, has bound control. The integration of two both will give the failure rate trails and the qualitative measurement as transference or flow, pointing a workflow as point to point. You can use today the trace language during this monitoring procedure about the risk behavior, and we offer a model quite simple, quite clear. This conversation will be very fast because I made pizza and I will eat. So it will be like this. We will check that indeed we have this situation here. We had an event, could be any event. Let's consider the COVID-19 thing, which is, on mainstream. So you will check that we had the COVID-19 as event from 00 up to 00. But things got weird, and this event got from 00 with a situation positive one. We changed the workflow as point to point. If we had the interval notation, we will check that we had this situation here, identity in both sides, and we will have this situation here which is not identical in both sides. And we will check that indeed this model must be noticed and reported by a failure, which goes in one very specific point. And this creates an illusion, which implies they are equally guilty but not identical. And we had at least 3 or 4 new patterns as virus. We complained this with the NATO before, that we must have the observation if could exist this possibility or this risk as creation of virus with a huge backup of a lot of things, considering all illegals or most of them, because you are unable to present your reasons on present time. And we are doing a conjuncture review. So it means that every time you have a new virus as variants of this, and this is a scam in the way we observe it all around the globe, with transference of economic power, you are having the variants of this scam. And each time that you have this, you have a new situation as duplicity of values here, And every time you have this duplicity of value, In one side of your scan, you are having the storage of data about each one of those segmented things, but indeed has a duplicity of values here. Can you get? It means that now we must consider do a regression. We can use, for instance, the econometric model. We will have a regression from the present and the current pattern as virus to the moment before that will go something like this, that had an edge, a decreasement, a new pattern. And we will do this one more time, and we will get the origination of the virus using a regressive model by a second degree functionality as observation. Because we are observing exponential behavior at linear fields, considering the projection of risk before you have the gain entirely closed. And by obvious, this is like you are crossing that bridge like the Indiana Jones, and then the Dungeons and Dragons, when the stairs got down and the crew, that group is walking through the stairs, but in a very specific moment you will have no stairs. You consider have the use of my academic research for holistic purpose, and I will trap you in, and shit you out. Then you will have this regression from Africa, which is the origination of this current virus. They had a lot of summits on Europe or something like this, especially in Portugal maybe. And we will have the regression to the previous pattern, to the previous pattern, to the origination of this problem. The other situation is all nations, because a pandemic event goes inside all nations, and they least fail at this pandemic event by failure in all nations integrated as a system. And then you will consider that if criminals have no nationality, no gender, no color, no creed, not, it's just a behavior. And this behavior is kind of something so strong that puts your national institution, your democratic institution, or governmental institutions, or even your corporate international institution unable to offer them. We have a new nation formed by cowards. You all. Then you can offer as nation, which is the will to continue. These main heads at these scams. For instance, on present time, do we have any noise or distortion on Africa? And if this is a pandemic event, evidenced as a cycle, with business inside, we have a business inside. With distortion on present time, is this distortion linked with the distortion on previous time? On previous time, one more time? We have a scam ruled by distortion. And this is an oriented program. Sequential, going in many continents. The systematical behavior can be considered aleatory. Chicago School, you are all guilty. Heads, which are them nominated to get this main head here. This main head here, you will have maybe that conversation. This procedure closed doors. So, have a nice week. Just that, stimulation to, and take a look at the sky. I have that moon. So, have a nice week.